What a powerful intro that was. Thanks, Mom. Now, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming. A few people might come in late, but we're going to start without them. Yeah, like she said, we are talking about annuities, but more importantly, it's about protecting your vision of retirement. Everybody's vision is different, as you know. I mean, no, that's not me, but he does have a similar vision of mine and my wife's retirement. Beaches, bathing suits, bare feet, beers. So everybody's vision is different, but how can you protect that in your retirement portfolio? So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So they did a survey recently in 2020. Hey, Jody, Rachel, how y'all doing? They did a survey in 2020 of pre-retirees. And they asked them a few questions about their retirement. They have questions or concerns. And like I said, everybody's different. They have different questions, different concerns. And so out of this survey, the top questions were, will Social Security be enough for me? How much monthly income can I get? Is my savings and investments enough? Can I retire? Anybody else have those questions, pre-retirees or those that did? That's normal. It's human nature. Will I have enough? And then the concerns, which kind of are prevalent now, 60% of those pre-retirees fear unpredictable economic and investment performance. You know, that's kind of emphasized nowadays. 46% are worried about investment losses, and 42% fear that it will take years to recover any losses that they have. Those are common concerns, common worries, right? I mean, everyone's felt that before. So how do you do it? How do you build a portfolio to protect you? Well, the old 60-40 combo, 60% stocks, 40% bonds, that's kind of what we're going to look at today, is building that type of portfolio, because that's kind of the standard operating procedure. And what this graph is showing us is annual returns from 1976 to present. And it's showing you in green bars is the U.S. stock market, or the S&P 500. And if y'all can't see this, these slides are in your handouts, but you don't have to see too much in detail. Basically, the green is the S&P 500. Everybody know what the S&P 500 is. Stocks for the U.S. market. Standard & Poor's is the company that rates the 500 top companies in the U.S. So that's what the green bars are. And from 76 to 21, the average was 13.4% return. The orange bars are bonds, or in this case, it's an index, the Barclays U.S. Aggregate Bond Index, and its return was 7.3%. So if we combine those in a 60-40 portfolio, what that would give us over that time frame is just under 11%, 10.9% on a 60-40 portfolio. Pretty good, right? And that's just with the two indexes combined. But as we all know, bad things can and do happen. For instance, there's been a lot of bear markets. What's a bear market? Well, it's when there's a 20% decline from its recent highs. A bull market is just the opposite, a 20% increase from its recent lows. So what you're seeing here is all the different bear markets from 1929 to present. And basically what it's telling you is every 3.6 years we see a bear market, a 20% drop or more. The average loss is around 35.5% on those bear markets. So what impact would that have on your retirement portfolio if it's not protected? What could you invest in? Oh, CDs, treasuries? No, not right now at least. This graph is showing you how rates have been on the 10-year treasury from 1870 to present. And you can see what those circles are is there's a lot of years of low rates. And basically that's normal. Now we all remember this early 80s 13, 15% CDs, right? Remember that? But you probably also remember high inflation, low GDP growth, high borrowing costs. It's not really good for the economy, so we hopefully won't see 13% rates again on the Treasury. We've had 13 years of low rates since the market crash of '09, and it's probably going to continue for some time. That's normal. That's what rates are. We want to try and beat inflation, but not with Treasury yields. So where else can we go? Maybe globally? Look outside of the U.S.? Well, this graph basically shows you that the U.S. is still a safe haven for secure investments like the 10-year Treasury. US is 1.5% on the 10-year Treasury yield. UK is just under 1%. Spain under just over 0.5%. Japan 0.07. And then Germany negative 0.18. Don't want to invest there, right? You're not going to get much protection there. So that leads investors to take more risks, thus investing in more equities. And then what happens then? Well, if you have a market loss, it takes longer to get back. This graph is basically showing the mathematics of recovering from a loss. For instance, if you have a 10% loss in your portfolio and you're not taking any withdrawals, over the next 5 years, you need an 11% return to get back what you lost. Or if you're taking 5% withdrawals, like you're in retirement and you're taking income from that portfolio, you'll need a 44% return over the next 5 years to get back that 10% loss. And heaven forbid we have a 30% loss, very irregular, but if there was a 30% drop and you're not taking returns, you need 43% growth over the next 5 years to get that back. Or if you're taking income, 85%. That's pretty rare. There's very rare 30% drops in the market, but you can see how this could affect you in any of these situations if you're taking income from your portfolio in retirement. So this next slide kind of shows two stories of two different people that had the same investment philosophy and returns, but the sequence of their returns were flipped, and so it didn't work for one, it worked good for the other. For instance, Andrew, poor old Andrew, they both did $500,000 investment, taking 6% withdrawals, 6% returns on their portfolio, 4% withdrawals, increasing that by 2% every year, giving a cost of living raise every year of 2%. And if you'll look, the returns that Andrew started with, he had 2 double-digit negative returns to start out his investment portfolio. Well, by taking income in 25 years, he's down to 0. Whereas Diane, lucky Diane over here on the right, her returns are exact opposite of Andrew's. You can see Andrew started at negative 17. She ended at negative 17. His second year was negative 29. Her 24th year is 29. So this is the exact same returns, just inverted. So Diane started with 2 good years. Andrew started with 2 bad years. Diane retired or has $2 million at the end of the 25 years. Andrew ran out of money simply because of that different sequence of events. How can you prevent that? No one can market time. You can't predict when you're going to have a few years of downturns or a good years in a row to get like Diane or Andrew. There's just no way to predict it. And to top it all off, one last thing to worry about, we're all living longer. 100-year-olds are going to double by 20. There was 65,000 100-year-olds in America in 2017. By 2030, that's going to double. By 2045, quadruple. Meaning, well, not us, but most people are going to be living longer to their hundreds, medical marvels, things like that. So that causes different strategies for retirement. Longer streams of income you have to prepare for. So how do you do that? Well, one of the things we're going to talk about is annuities. But first, a diversified portfolio with protection added can be the solution. Because for instance, in 2018, over here on the right, this shows the S&P 500 was down 4.38%, but the average investor was down 9.42. Anybody know why that was? Market timing. People getting in and out of the market thinking, oh, I got to get out. It's bad. I got to get in now. It's good. I got to get out. It's bad. If they stayed the course, they would have only lost 4%, but instead they lost 9%. So one of the ways that we are talking about today is to protect a portion of your portfolio. Not all of it, maybe 20%, 50% of it can be put into an annuity that is guaranteed protected, whether it be growth or income. So what is an annuity? Let's get into the depths of it now. Now that we know all the negative things that can happen out there, how can we protect it? Well, an annuity, by definition, is a contract with an insurance company that provides guaranteed income to last throughout the investor's lifetime and beyond, perhaps. You can extend the income through a joint life annuity for a spouse. So that's the only way to guarantee your income, because Let's face it, when we earn money or make money, we want to protect it. We don't want to lose it. An annuity is the only way, the only investment where you can guarantee not loss of principal, guaranteed growth, and guaranteed income. No other investment vehicle, you can say that. That's the benefit of annuities. So there's three types of annuities, basically. There's fixed annuities, which just pay a fixed rate for a set amount of time, much like a CD with the bank. There's indexed annuities, which pays you based upon the external index, like the S&P 500 that I mentioned. And then there's variable annuities, which you actually own investments in the sub-accounts, so you have potential to do a lot better than the S&P 500 with experienced money managers. Now, you pay for what you get because variable is more expensive than index, and index is more expensive than fixed. But again, you pay for what you get for it. And so there's an annuity that fits for everybody's situation. Like I said, everybody's vision of retirement is different. Everybody's risk tolerance is different. And everybody's needs for income and protection are different. So a fixed income, I mentioned it's like a CD. I looked just yesterday, the best rate I could find on a 7-year fixed rate annuity for more than $100,000 was 3.6%. Not bad, not really going to keep up with inflation right now. So that's what a fixed annuity is. What I'm going to talk about now is an indexed annuity, and I'm not selling anything, I'm just giving you an example to show you one of the types of indexed annuities that is out there, and it's from Lincoln as well. So an indexed annuity, like I mentioned, can be any index that it's measured against. But this example I'm going to keep with the S&P 500 because we all know what that is and we're on the same page there. So what they did in this example of looking back at history is they looked from 1971 to present at 6-year rolling intervals of the S&P 500. And of those 6-year rolling periods, 88% of the time it was a gain in those 6-year periods, meaning there was 465 times from 71 to present in a 6-year rolling period that there were gains on the S&P 500, and only 12% of the time, or 64 times, there was a loss in those 6-year periods. The reason I'm explaining that is one of the options on this indexed annuity is a 6-year period. So with this Lincoln Level Advantage Index Variable Annuity, very long name, but that's the name of the product. Basically, you choose how much protection you want from Lincoln on the downside. You choose which strategy you want, meaning how many years you want to invest that time frame for, and then which indexes you want. They got the S&P 500, they got the Russell, the MSCI, which is a foreign index, the NASDAQ, and then there's some combined managed index where these guys at First Trust and Capital mix up a few of the indexes. So you can choose how much you want in each one or all of it in the S&P 500. But let's go back to the top one. What they mean by 10, 15, 20, and 30%, meaning how much do you want us to cover you? If the S&P goes down by 20%, and you say you choose the 20% and it goes down by 20, you lose nothing. If it goes down by 25, you only lose 5%. Does that make sense? 10, 15, 20, or 30. Obviously, if you choose 30% protection, your caps are going to be lower, or your returns less than if you only want 10 or 15 or 20. Obviously, you can see the scale on that. And then you have all these different, I'm not going to get into spread, caps, and all that, but it's either 1, 3, or 6 years. 6 years. Fumble. So you can choose 1, 3, or 6 years, and then your index. For example, on this one, if I chose, as an investor, I got $100,000, I'm going to choose the 6-year market performance with 20% downside protection, but I have a 100% performance cap, meaning I can't do more than 100% in that 6-year time frame. So for instance, if the market in this red line does 110% over 6 years, I get $200,000. They cap it at 100% growth, double my money in 6 years. If the market, say, does 80%, I capture all of that. I get $180,000. But if we have some down years, for instance, scenario 3, the market was down 10% in that 6 years. Well, you got 20% protection, so you still have your $100,000. Or if it goes down, like I mentioned earlier, 25%, you got 20% protection, you're covering that 5% loss, so your value goes to $95,000. Does that make sense? So he's kind of protecting on the downside and capping it on the upside.
Can you go back one slide?
I can. Yes.
What does that mean at the very bottom?
Thank you for pointing that out, because I did not point that out. The red line at the bottom says no explicit product charges for money invested in indexed accounts. What that means is it's a lot less cost. There's no cost for money managers in an index fund. So that's why it's cheaper than a variable annuity. So thank you for pointing that out. I meant to point that out. That's one of the main reasons to invest in an indexed annuity is the low to no cost in those. Thanks, Mike. And so, yeah, we got that scenario. So next is the variable annuities. Again, they're more expensive, but you get what you pay for, because basically you get a portfolio of stocks, bonds, money market that go up and down. They can be invested by professional portfolio managers like American funds. Some of you know those. All the dividends and capital gains are reinvested, so it's tax deferred. So it's much like an IRA. You're not paying Uncle Sam until you turn on the tap and start taking out money. And then, of course, you pay taxes on that. But these little guys down here that look like riders riding a Bronco, which is exactly what they are. They call them riders. You can add on things to a variable annuity to achieve what you want to achieve. For instance, if I want to guarantee 5% growth on my income base, they have a 5% guarantee. They have income for life that guarantees to pay you income for life even when the account balance goes to zero. That's a comfort for people, is knowing that they're not going to run out of income no matter what the market does. They have a growing death benefit. Some people want to pay to make sure the death benefit's growing. My position on that is why? You just want the income when you die. It's to your heirs. Some people want to leave more to their heirs, so they want to make sure that the death benefit is growing. That's another little price tag. And then some people will just don't lose my principal. Put in $100,000, make sure my death benefit is $100,000. You just pay a little bit for that. So there's multiple different riders that you can add. Again, everybody's different. Everybody's vision of retirement is different from mine, maybe. But depending upon what you're trying to do, whether it's just protect your portfolio, guarantee your income growth, and guarantee that that income doesn't go down, there is a variable annuity out there for you. And so what those do is they protect you from all these things we were talking about. Inflation, longevity, meaning living too long or running out of money, living to be 102, and you plan for 95. Unexpected healthcare bills. Some people assume that, hey, I don't need long-term care, but if I do, I have an annuity that covers long-term care expenses, so that can be incorporated. I mentioned market ups and downs. The market's going to go up and down always, but if you have protection on the downside, an annuity is the only way to do that. And then maintaining your lifestyle. If you want to live to be 102 and maintain that lifestyle, well, I don't really want to live to be 102, but unfortunately we may have to. But that's another way. An annuity is a way to maintain that lifestyle, keep that income growing and never going down. And then on that survey that I mentioned earlier, they talked to those pre-retirees and some retirees. 2/3 of Americans are concerned about the economy and the investment environment, right? That's basically 60%. The other 1/3 who weren't concerned, almost half of those have some form of protected income or an annuity. And those that do have an annuity, 89% of them are satisfied with their purchase. They understand their protection and what they've done. So basically they're comfortable, like this guy right here. And that's really what the annuity does. It brings you comfort, guarantees that you can't find in any other investment product. And so that's my conclusion. I know that was quick and short, but I didn't want to get into depth on products. I just wanted to explain the only way to protect an investment portfolio is with an annuity. Which type that is different for everybody and which goals they're trying to achieve. So any questions?
How does a person ever figure out which category they go in, the fixed or the indexed or the variable? How do you...
Well, for instance, a fixed maybe for someone that doesn't need to beat inflation. They just want to beat something better than the bank, better than CDs. That would be a fit for a fixed annuity. Between the indexed and the variable, that comes down to the personal preference of the investor and understanding the cost difference, the trade-off between caps and no caps on the variable annuity. Some people feel that I don't want to pay 3 or 4% for a variable annuity every year when the indexed annuity is going to get me that 5, 10, 15% anyway. So it's a good question, but it comes down to the investor's understanding of the cost and the risk reward of caps and no caps. Because in a variable annuity, there's no caps. There's no 100% or 200 cap. If the market does 30, 40, 50%, you get to capture that. Whereas with the index annuities, the insurance company keeps those, anything over the cap. Does that make sense? Yes?
So if you take money out, obviously, and there have been losses, it's going to take longer. But you're forced to take out the minimum.
Yeah, if it's a IRA, qualified money, there is the RMD, required minimum distribution, but that's going to be in any account.
No choice.
If it's an IRA, but if you have money, say from an inheritance or sale of a property or something like that, that's not qualified or a retirement account, that money does not have to come out at 72. There's no required minimum distributions. And a matter of fact, on that variable annuity, they have a patent on their distributions. It's not last in, first out. They don't pay you all the interest where you pay taxes first. They pay you principal and taxes, so you only pay taxes on half of the distribution, which is...
Go back and repeat Mary's question because I asked Paige to keep recording. So would you...
Oh, yes.
Mary's question was...
What was it again? I was thinking of yours, index versus variable.
About RMD versus non-RMD.
RMD, yes. If it's in an IRA, if she asked, you still have to take required minimum distributions from an annuity. Yes, if it's in an IRA. If it's non-qualified money, you do not have to take the required minimum distribution. Joe.
You take funds out of your IRA to buy an annuity, you have to start taking out at that point in time that...
At 72, whether it's in an annuity or not, 72 is now the required minimum distribution age that you have to start taking distributions and paying taxes if it's in a retirement account.
Second question, what is the minimum investment on like an indexed annuity or a variable annuity?
Most of them are around 10,000. He asked what's the minimum to invest in an annuity, and the majority of them are around 10, some of them 25.
10 to 25?
Yeah, 10 to 25, usually 10. So, well, thank you all for all your questions, and thanks for attending, and hope I taught you at least something.